Hi, I'm Adam Berg. I'm president of Results Through Focus, LLC. I'm here today on Passage to Profit to discuss my book, Sales Decoded, my sales seminar, Sales Decoded Live, and why it's different from any other sales book you've ever looked at, read, or heard about. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on iHeartRadio's Passage to Profit. I'm Adam Berg, the author of Sales Decoded, a book, and host of Sales Decoded Live, a sales and effort coaching seminar. Sales Decoded is unlike any other book on sales that anyone has ever seen because it's based on real-time examination of conversations that you have with people that you're selling to. It's based for everybody because everyone sells everything to everyone all the time, whether they know it or not. I made my first sale when I was 12 years old, loved it, and never looked back. I've been in the sales business one way or the other all my life, and decided that I would write this book based on the school of hard knocks. Everything that's in Sales Decoded can't be found anywhere else because it comes directly from me. The Sales Decoded Live seminar and effort coaching is based on an inspiration I saw on television when on a sports show a coach said he could not coach effort. He could coach talent and he could coach skills, but he could not coach effort. And I took silent note of that and said, well, I've been working in sales all my life and I know I can coach effort because everyone sells to everybody all the time. The seminar is based on the book itself, and the book is based into 5 sections. The things that you hear in the 5 sections of sales, which is cold calling, prospecting, getting the meeting, negotiating, and closing. And the 4 sections of the seminar are perspective, basics, what does it mean when, and tradecraft. The book is copywritten and currently under representation by a well-known literary agent. If you'd like to learn more about the book, contact me through my email. And if you'd like me to come speak to you personally about your sales efforts, your company, or your group, you can reach me at resultstf@gmail.com. The name of my company is Results Through Focus, LLC, and the email is resultstf@gmail.com. I am also on LinkedIn under Adam Berg.
So Adam, I have a question. Where are your seminars? Are they, do you go in person? Are they online?
I go in person.
And where do you hold them then?
I have done one. I just got this started, so this is very opportune to be with you kind folks on the iHeartRadio's Passage to Profit radio show. I just completed my first engagement at the Metro North Y in Wayne, New Jersey, and based on that success, I was able to book another presentation at the Fair Lawn, New Jersey library on October 2nd. I am also soliciting major cruise lines to be an enrichment guest, and have also solicited businesses in the area that I know have sales forces.
So I have a question, Adam. Is there a particular industry sector that you think your techniques are most appropriate for, or does it work for whether you're selling to a consumer in a department store, someone who's buying an automobile, or a business-to-business transaction?
Excellent question, and I'll start with my first thought when I wrote this book. It's for junior salespeople, ideally working in a bullpen, that are engaged in selling for financial services, telemarketing, which I've also done. I've done that at night, and for people who want to hone their sales skills getting right out of the box. When they are engaged in sales, they don't know a lot about it, and they're going to hear 10 things 9 times out of 10 in these 5 sections. So each section of the book deals with things that you're going to hear from people like, I don't have enough money, let me run it up the flagpole, all the euphemisms and pedantic talk that people use to either deflect or get you off the phone. But on thorough examination of this book, after it was done and submitted and accepted by my agent, it's also for consummate pros, people who have been at sales forever, because any consummate pro in sports or in the performing arts will tell you that they go back to 101. Acting 101, Training Camp 101. And they relive their skills. They have to hone them all the time. And if you're doing any kind of sport, you always go back to the basics. I happen to be a fencer, and I always have to practice my footwork because everything starts with footwork. Also, finally, to answer that question, you're never as smart as you think you are. Always go back to the basics. And that's what the book is about. Sales Decoded Live puts the book in the center of the 1 hour presentation, which can be scaled down to 45 minutes or up to 90 minutes, depending on what somebody wants.
So do you also do then some role playing where you have participants in the seminar attempting to sell to each other and you're able to point out mistakes or learning moments in the transactions?
No, I hate that. It interrupts. The reason for that is I have been in every kind of brainstorming meeting you can possibly shake a stick at. I have done role playing, and the problem with role playing is that people are not acting in situ. They are acting for the acting. You're not really getting the results that you want. They're very self-conscious, and I don't believe in role playing at all. When you're on the line, when everything is on the line, and you're on that phone with that person, there is no time for role playing. There are no second takes. You can't do it over. That person's going to ask you a question, and you're going to have just a couple of seconds to react. So role playing is something I don't engage in, and I'd like people to learn on their own time anyway. I'm happy to come and discuss anything that's on their mind, but role playing is a way of actually avoiding the real issues.
Well, I will say that entrepreneurs have to be selling all the time. I think a good entrepreneur has to have at least some small piece of sales skills, and I think they do even better if they have better sales skills. So what are a few tips that you could give to entrepreneurs who maybe aren't professional salespeople, but they do have to convince an awful lot of people of an awful lot of things a lot of the time?
Happy to answer that question with the obvious. First, speak slowly. When people are selling, they believe they're not worth anything, and I'll get to that point later on. But speak slowly. One of the best ways to learn how to speak slowly is to listen to National Public Radio. In fact, there's a thing called NPR Speak.
Or Passage to Profit.
Or Passage to Profit. And people who are professional communicators on media speak at about 66% speed of normal speech. In fact, you're listening to it now. And the reason for that is your tongue, your mouth, and your jaw and your lips can't get around the words in verbal communication on the phone unless you give them time to get around. For anybody who golfs, you know you're told not to swing fast. It's not how fast you speak, it's how well you speak. That's the first thing. The second thing is get right to the point. Tell the person what you want and how much you want it for. And the third thing is never waste their time.
Those are great tips.
Yeah, what are you selling? I might buy it.
Well, right now,
I think it's seminars.
Yeah, seminars. I should probably do that.
Right now, I'm selling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's get back to your seminars then, because they do mirror the book. You said they're an hour and a half long.
No, it can be
No?
45 minutes to an hour and a half.
So that's easily fits into somebody's day.
Absolutely.
And then, what day of the week is it?
It can be, please, somebody email me and ask me to come do my seminar, and I will fit it into your schedule.
Oh, because you're such a good salesman.
Well,
And that's what you have to do, right?
you know who was a great salesman? I'll tell you. Richard Nixon was a great salesman. He
So-
said something I always live by, which is, if I ask and they say no, I never ask again. So if somebody wants me to be someplace, unless there's some absolute reason I can't be there, I say yes. In fact, that's one of the things, that's how you get a meeting in my section on how to get the meeting. If somebody needs you to be at a certain spot on a certain day at a certain time, just say yes. And if you wanted to get a meeting and people were reluctant to give you a time, say, it's not going to cost you anything to see me or talk to me. If you could open the door and I could be right there, what time and what day would it be? And they would say, well, Mr. Berg, could you be here at 10 o'clock on Tuesday? Yes, I can. Now they have no reason to say no. And back to your other point, never give somebody a reason to say no. your first answer is always the honest answer. So if you're not prepared to be compliant with your prospect or with your future customer, you will not make the sale.
So these are things that I really have never heard about selling before, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about selling. This is very valuable information. So are you saying to me right now, let's say we wanted the law firm, 5 people in the law firm to go to your seminar, or you would even bring it and do it in the law firm for us for 45 minutes?
You're looking at the seminar. It's all in my head. You can't read this anywhere. It's not online. It's not on YouTube. It's a PowerPoint presentation and me. And the PowerPoint presentation is written in such a way is that if you were simply to look at the slides, they would make no sense. I don't read the seminar. I don't read the PowerPoint. I am foreground, it is background. So you will see a series of disparate words or phrases up on each slide, and then I weave them together into a story. I can provide you with testimonials about my work where I'm an engaging and lively personality. I discuss things on a personal basis to put things in perspective to people. And that's another thing. In any of the sales books, and I've read countless of them and been to workshops, I've been to everything, nobody ever puts sales in perspective. And while binocular vision puts things in perspective all the time, perspective as an intellectual pursuit is only about 700 years old. I go into my sales seminar in the perspective section, naturally, and it's the difference between medieval art and art after the Middle Ages, in that artists of the Renaissance were able to create perspective by focusing a point in space and then drawing lines at disciplined angles from it, and you could make something that looked like it would look like in real life. If you look at medieval art, everything is very flat. If you look at Renaissance art, everything is in perspective. All you have to do is look at the top of the Sistine Chapel, and you will see the best example of perspective, in my opinion, in art history.
So I'd like to make a comment on the 3 points that you mentioned. I think when we were talking earlier about entrepreneurs looking for money, some of these kinds of comments are also very relevant. As an entrepreneur, when you're talking to investors, you want to speak slowly so they can understand what's the product, the service, what is it that you're doing. Get to the point. Don't beat around the bush with a lot of extraneous details, and don't waste the investor's time. So I think your advice works for people who are selling their businesses to people who they're hoping to get investments from as well.
In the money world, there's no better line than, let me get right to the point. That gets their attention. Now you have 30 seconds. They want to know, what do you want, and what do you want from them, and how much. And then they will ask you a question or hang up, one or the other. Nobody wants to hear about who you are or what your experience is. It's all about how is somebody else going to make money, and that's just fine. Embrace the process. It's a wonderful process. The Dalai Lama was also a great salesperson because he said, conquer thyself. The greatest obstacle to selling is your fear of selling.
Those are great words. So, Adam, you mentioned earlier that coaching effort was something that you felt you could do. How do you go about doing that?
That depends on the person, but you have to understand that everybody has a special gift. And the way you coach effort is to find out what that special gift is. My middle son, who's in business, is great at math. I'm not, and he is. So I rely on him to do a lot of my math work when it comes to buying a car. So what I like to do with people I work with is get their efforts centered around their special gift, and everything else will come from there. So I like to say, what are you good at? What do you think you're good at? Tell me why you're good at that. All right, now, what are you not good at? What are you afraid of? And then what we do is we build intellectual and, more importantly, emotional bridges from the special gift to the areas of perceived weakness. And that's a key phrase. I tell people your weakness is perceived. We are all born as sentient beings, so the price we pay to be sentient beings is to have a knowledge of an uncertain future, and that's where a lot of stress comes from. People stress over the things that they perceive themselves not to be good at. So effort coaching is about saying, you're excellent at these things. Now let's take those things and convert them into tools that can bridge to the other areas where you think that you're weak, and those weaknesses will go away. That takes a lot of listening and a lot of talking slowly, because people cannot digest words very quickly. They need to sink in.
So I have heard, and I'm trying to talk a little slower now because I tend to talk too fast. But I have heard that every purchase is an emotional decision. Do you agree with that?
No. Well, not to be adamant about it, but I don't want to waste anybody's time. There are utility purchases. When I go to buy gasoline, it's not an emotional purchase. But I will tell you, there's a direct correlation between esoteric sales and emotional purchases. So an esoteric sale is when an insurance person comes and says, you need life insurance because imagine what your family's life will be like without you. And the more esoteric or more the emotional sale, the greater the salesman has to be at establishing a long-term relationship with you. However, when you go to buy gasoline, the conversation is, good morning or good afternoon, fill it up regular please, credit. You do not have an emotional conversation with the person selling you the gasoline. In fact, the sell has already been made when you look at the price outside the gas station. So many things are not this way. In fact, selling Sales Decoded Live is an esoteric emotional sale, because you really have to deal with people saying, I could use some help in this area.
That's great. Yeah, well, I didn't really think that was true either, because like there are some things I hate to have to buy. You know what? So anyway, unfortunately, we have come to the end of time. This is intriguing, like very intriguing.
Thank you.
So let's say again, it's results.
Yes, you can reach me.
LF.
It's a simple email. Results, TF, so that's the letter T as in Tom, the letter F as in Frank, at gmail.com. If you'd like to contact me about the book and the way to reach my agent, please contact me there about that. Or if you'd like to discuss Sales Decoded Live, contact me there.